If you have recently felt like you're losing your edge, your patience, or your mind, and you're wondering why the coping mechanisms that have worked for years are suddenly failing you, today's episode is your deep breath. We've been taught to fear the change of peri and post-menopause, but what if this isn't a breakdown? What if it's actually a chaotic, necessarily remodeling of your brain and your body? Welcome to Healthy Buzz, the podcast for women who are craving honest answers in a supported community. Hosted by Brandee, a certified nutrition therapy practitioner who believes your body isn't broken, but the narrative around women's health is. Each week, we're diving deep into holistic health topics, challenging the one-size-fits-all approach, and empowering you to trust your own informed intuition. Get ready to feel seen, supported, and seriously informed. This is Healthy Buzz, where collaboration meets unfiltered transparency in women's health. Today, I'm joined by Holly from A Better Pause. Holly is an expert in helping women navigate the neuroendocrine shift of peri and postmenopause. We will be discussing why this transition feels so confusing long before we even suspect our hormones are involved, how the choices we make in our 20s, 30s, and 40s shape our experience through peri and postmenopause, and why your body is finally revealing what has been unsustainable for so long. Holly is a certified menopause coach and founder of A Better Pause, who is dedicated to dismantling the narrative that menopause is something women should just have to survive. As a 52-year-old mom navigating the beautiful chaos of ADHD, Holly experienced her own menopause transition earlier than expected and realized a massive gap in support for women in the thick of it. Today, she combines her background in high-level strategy and deep hormonal science to help women understand the why behind their symptoms. From sleep and focus to shifting sense of self, Holly helps women reclaim their agency during their body's most significant transition. Holly, welcome to today's show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So I would love to start off by hearing a little bit more about your story, because you mentioned that you went through menopause pretty early, and that is kind of what helped shape your drive for creating this coaching program to help women transition as well. So can you tell us a little bit more about your story?
It was a wild ride, for sure. I was a late mom, so I had my child with some help when I was 41. And pretty much right after that, started not feeling very well, like started getting hives all over my body. I mean, I'd had hives before, but like a lot of them, and heat and hot flashes. And I was in the middle of a really demanding job. My mother was sick. We were about to have a pandemic. Things were very uncertain. And so there was a lot of reasons for me to feel as though I'm just off, right? My kid was struggling pretty heartily at that time too. We didn't know yet she had ADHD. I didn't find out I had ADHD until I was 49 and a half. So that was also a fun surprise. So when I started having hot flashes, I thought, okay, like my mom's really sick. It's stress. And I couldn't figure out why I was depressed. So, I had seen a doctor and I was seeing this psychologist, and they were putting me on antidepressant after antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication, because I was waking up in the middle of the night, like my whole body was on fire. And like, I thought the house was burning down, like, just like, like, why am I so stressed? Like, I've been working like this 60 hours a week forever. That's basically how I work. Why can't I do this anymore? And it was funny because like if you see a psychologist, they give you an intake form every time. And so after seeing her for a while, and I was telling her I had hot flashes and nobody was saying anything about perimenopause. I think at that point I was probably 45. And she's like, it's interesting. I took all of your intake forms and, I like extrapolated the data, and you keep going up and down and up and down and up and down. And I think maybe you might be bipolar. Just imagine like how that feels. All of a sudden, I'm trying to filter everything through this lens of, am I bipolar? Trying to like figure out like, how would all of these things connect? Ask my family. Everyone's like, you're not bipolar. I've never seen anything to indicate that you are bipolar. Well, at that time, there really wasn't very much information about menopause. In fact, I think there was the Menopause Manifesto. That was like the only book that I could get my hands on. And so I just finally started looking at things on social media and found some people talking about the same symptoms that I was having, like just not feeling like yourself, feeling like you're going to burst into tears all the time, breaking out in hives, just overall feeling as though I had no resilience to anything. And it was like a lightning bolt basically striking my head. I was like, this is what is happening with me. I was like, the hot flashes, that's one part of it, right? But I wasn't a person who ever had irregular periods. And I mean, literally to the end, my period just stopped. So everyone thinks, oh, I'll know I'm in perimenopause, right? When my periods get really irregular or I start having hot flashes. But really, the first thing that I hear from people and the first thing that I felt was, I just don't feel like myself. I don't have any tolerance for situations that I used to. I can't handle the stress of my job. I can't handle the stress of parenting. Feeling just emotionally raw all the time. Like that was like the big first steps for me. So I fired that psychologist and I got off all of the antidepressants and I saw a doctor and just demanded basically that they do testing for me and put me on hormone replacement therapy because I was one of those women that are, some books call it a super flusher, but like I had hot flashes every 30 minutes, all day, all night. There was no relief from them. And they were 4 minutes long. So, I mean, that was basically my life was just like all hot flash. I didn't wear a sweater that you pulled over your head for 2 years. Everything was like, I'm going to go somewhere. Now I'm wearing a mask because it's the pandemic, right? And so I'm sweating through this mask. I'm thinking about everywhere I'm going to go and how many layers I have on. I mean, there's no reason if there is an intervention that works for you that you can't have it. But when I went the first time to the doctor, it was, have you tried mint tea? Have you tried just relaxing? I'm like, yeah, I've tried all of that, plus a multitude of antidepressants, and none of these things have worked. And it was just amazing to me that nobody was like, you're probably in perimenopause. Like I had to come to that conclusion in order for anybody else to actually support me in that. And then they didn't offer me support. I had to find information on the internet and then take it to them. That's basically how my story went. I thought at the time I was just really burnt out. I'd gone through burnout because, I mean, workaholic, obviously. I was like, I'm burnt out. And so I was like, I'm going to take some time off from work. I'm just going to figure out what's going on. And I can remember walking every day, audibly listening to the Menopause Manifesto and then The Pause Life by Mary Claire Haver and just learning everything that I could. And I was like, this is an impossible situation. You can't hate the players. You got to hate the game. Nobody had any med school training on menopause. Women were not exactly a high priority after they gave birth. And so it's like there weren't any doctors out there that knew anything about it. It's gotten much better. And there are definitely menopause literate doctors now. But like when I got started, I mean, I literally had to go in and just demand, give me HRT. Give it to me. I don't care what anybody has to say. The 3% chance that I might get something is not worth my quality of life now. And while I was off, I realized I can't go back to that. I'm like, there's no support there for me with this. And I'm exhausted. I had always been a manager, and the part I loved the most was coaching. And I thought, what if I could go into coaching and I could figure out how to not have this happen for other people, have them not have to blow up their career, have them not have to have basically a whole breakdown. And so I started looking online. And of course, there were no menopause coaches at that point, really, either. And I found this woman in England and talked to her on the phone. She had a menopause coaching program. Her story was so similar to mine. She had a C-suite job. I wasn't in the C-suite, but I had regular meetings with them. They had diagnosed her with dementia, like early onset dementia. And it was menopause, but she didn't know that. It was just like very severe perimenopause symptoms. But she had left her job and then was making it her mission basically to advocate and make the workplace an easier place for women to go through this transition. Because if you came in and you were like, I am battling a disease or I have cancer, I'm going to go through this treatment, I'm going to need some extra space for a little while. Everybody would support that, right? That's a thing that everybody is supportive of. But if you go in and you say, I'm going through this transition, I'm a little extra tired. Sometimes I have some brain fog. I might just need a few breaks, but like I'm still going to perform at the level that I am. I'm not looking to like end my career right now. That support should be there. That seems like a natural thing to me, but there was no language for it. And so I love her mission that she's doing that. And for me, I may do that too. But right now, I just want to support women that feel broken because they're not broken.
Yeah. Wow. There's so many things here that I want to circle back to. First being, I feel like women are so intuitive when you were giving all of these antidepressants and more antidepressants and told you're bipolar, that was quite the shock. But you intuitively were like, I don't think that is in alignment with me. So you had to really advocate for yourself and find a provider that would listen to you. I think the other thing that's really important to point out here is that everybody's peri and postmenopause journey is going to look very different. You said with you had very regular cycles leading up to it. And a lot of times women are like, oh, the chaotic cycles, either first you kind of go to shorter cycles before you transition to longer cycles until they eventually diminish and go away. But with you, it sounds like you kind of just kept having regular cycles until there was no more cycles. And so I was like, okay, I guess this is happening, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think with me, there was a stress event too. Like my period ended the day my mother died. And it was just like, that's it. And it came back. I went and saw an acupuncturist because I was like, it feels really early. So she gave me some herbs and I think we got it back a couple times. And then I just was like, no. The 2 times that I got it back, it was just like spotting. Like my body was just like, that's it. But for some people, I think if you had spent time early in your life creating really good boundaries and really good work-life balance, and you haven't spent most of your life taking care of everybody else and at the same time being like, I'm fine, it won't feel as bad for you. It might just feel like a gentle tap, or the transition might be, oh, okay, now I'm just ready to not care as much about anything. But I have a theory that the higher stress your life is, the harder this period is for you. Because when you go through an endocrine system remodel and you don't have all of those hormones to buffer cortisol, and you're not producing as much dopamine or serotonin, like that delicate dance of all your hormones, it will go completely out of whack. All of a sudden, you just have no resilience to anything. But the education isn't there for you to say, wow, ever since probably the age of around 35, when my eggs went from on average 1 million to 10,000, these things have been happening, right? Like these adjustments have started, but everybody just thinks it's them. Honestly, I believe this is just a unique space for our generation. We are a bridge generation. I mean, Gen X was raised to raise themselves. And so we're very self-reliant. And I can remember letting myself in, making my own snack. Both parents were working. You've been taking care of everything since like 1983. And so when it stops working and you can't fix it, you can't power through it, you can't figure out how to task your way through it, it's a seismic event. It's like, well, wait a second. Who am I? Who am I now if I cannot power through these things? If I cannot say I'm fine, who am I?
Yeah. I think it's really important to circle back to this. Like you use the term remodeling to describe this phase. So biologically speaking, what is actually changing in a woman's brain and her nervous system during this time that makes her see the world so differently?
Well, if you're looking at it, like you've got the 3 main ones, the testosterone, the progesterone, and estrogen. So progesterone's going to just slowly go down. You're getting less and less and less of it as you go through this phase. And if you look at perimenopause as about a decade, whether you're symptomatic or not, of change in there, like coming up to it and then after it, because spoiler alert, I'm 4 or 5 years into menopause and things are still changing. I still had spotting events. I still have things where the cycle goes through. It is not like everything like a light switch and things go off. It continues. The evolution continues. But your estrogen, because you don't have as many eggs, it's like the neurotransmitter, your brain sending signals saying like, send estrogen, like send more estrogen. Wait, that was too much. Send less estrogen. Like, we're not really sure. We got to get these eggs out, you know? And so there's a chaos to that that looks more like a roller coaster. You could go up, it could go down. And that's where your moods can go all over the place. But if you think about estrogen and progesterone like a weighted blanket, progesterone more like a weighted blanket, it's like a warm hug. When you take it away, who's making sure cortisol behaves? Who's bouncing that one at the bar if it's had too much to drink? Nobody. So cortisol goes through the roof. And then all of a sudden, you can't manage anything. It just feels like everything is impossible. And that's the moment where women think, this has all just become too much for me. They internalize that to be, there's something wrong with me. I just can't manage the stress. I'm the one that's broken. Rather than understanding that it is a remodel. It is literally like living inside of a remodel. There's dust everywhere, plastic sheets, the wiring doesn't work. You haven't had a meal in your kitchen in months. It can be really chaotic. The thing that most women miss here, because they're so busy blaming themselves, is that it's a natural thing that is supposed to be happening. And so during that time, you need to give yourself space to ask new questions. For example, you might need a lot more time to yourself right now. You might need more hours of sleep. You might need your children to do a few more things for themselves, or a partner to step up and to take care of some of those things. Because the estrogen, the part that made you want to take care of everybody else, is going away. It's on its way out the door. And so it's not even so much just like everyone likes to say, it's my I don't give a fuck era. Well, during the transition, your knee-jerk reaction is to feel really guilty about not caring about those things. And so you're constantly fighting against your old operating system, yet you don't have a manual for the new one. So you're just floundering, spending a lot of time probably beating yourself up for not being as thin or as patient or as resilient as you used to be.
Yes, I 100% agree with all this. And I think women are starting to learn that if they didn't have boundaries set before, that now trying to set these boundaries feels very triggering to them, as they have to learn to not say yes to every single thing. And so when they start saying no to things, now they're starting to feel like they're a bitch, right?
Oh, yeah. I had a few people lately say to me, you seem really angry lately. I'm like, thanks for noticing. Because honestly, if you are setting a boundary, it doesn't feel good, right? Like when you are setting a boundary, if you feel bad about it, you're probably doing the right thing, because boundaries are hard to set. They're hard for everybody. And when we're in a space where we already feel as though maybe we've snapped too many times or we haven't been that nice to anybody, when we set that boundary, we feel even worse about it.
Yeah. But I think too, with the boundary piece of the puzzle, it's also because you finally have gotten that clarity, or somebody has finally pointed out. I work with a lot of clients. I'm like, woo, let's zoom out from where we're at right now. And let's see how this is not serving you right now. Can you see that? And like, can we reframe that? And like, as I point that out, they're like, oh, we need to start creating some better, healthier boundaries now that we have the clarity, right? Once you pull yourself out of that situation, you can actually see it differently and be like, oh, wait, this is not very healthy. This is kind of toxic right now. The relationship I have with work or with some people in my life or whatever that may look like. And so when you finally get that clarity and you start setting that boundary, the first time you do it, you're going to be like, oh, shit. I don't know if I should have done that. I'm going to piss somebody off or whatever. And maybe the first time you do it, maybe you might be a little aggressive with it. And so you learn from that how to set a boundary with maybe a little gentler response. But the more you start to do that, the more you start to become empowered, and the more you start setting more boundaries. And when you start like, yes, I feel fucking awesome right now. I just told them, no, I can't help them. I just said, no, I can't pick up somebody after school. I just said, no, I can't take on that extra task. I just said, I want to stay at home tonight. I don't want to go out tonight.
Yeah. Well, when we're in fight or flight, which is what happens, right? When cortisol is running the show, we're pretty much in survival mode. And so everything feels dangerous. Setting boundaries feels dangerous. Telling somebody you don't want to be around them feels dangerous. Like the flinch in your family or your friends where you're just like, I just want to be by myself. And the only way to retrain your nervous system that it's okay is to just do it and not burst into flames. You just have to do it. You have to think that, like, for once, I'm the one right now that is important. That doesn't mean everyone else isn't important, but like, let them take care of themselves. I have to take care of myself. Again, I think we're a unique generation for this, and it will be much different. I am in that, raised in the 70s and 80s. Boundaries were not huge. The Me Too movement hadn't even happened yet. Women, we were just used to, sexual harassment was normal. You just internalized everything and you were just like, it's fine, I'm moving on. So it's especially hard, I think, for people that are going through it right now, because maybe they didn't know how to set those boundaries. They certainly weren't modeled.
Yeah. Well, and then you also are part of the sandwich generation too, right? Where you're caring for maybe aging parents, but then also raising your own family too. So it's kind of this push pull, which your stress level is getting, your cortisol is all dysregulated at this point because there's so many people demanding more from you that it seems like what I see with women that I work with is they're putting themselves at the bottom of the list every day.
100%.
Everybody else gets my attention first. And if there's anything left over, is for me. But they're so exhausted by the end of the day that all I want to do is crumple on the couch and like hide under a blanket and don't fucking talk to me.
Yeah. I mean, you have to put on your oxygen mask first. That analogy works. They say it like when you have kids or something, like don't like run yourself ragged because you have to put yours on first. You have to do it here too. And a lot of times what happens is when people start to do that, like you said, it's edgy. It feels edgy because instead of thinking it through, they're just like, no, I just can't do that anymore. like the hands go out. And that is because you literally don't have the capacity for it anymore. You don't. And the real struggle, I think, in here is the fight over trying to get back to who you were. Because I'll tell you right now, again, that my generation, because we were so self-reliant, we were really easy to market, do it all, have it all, be skinny, have the best job, have kids or don't have kids and pick up everyone else's slack. We have been dealing with an amount of stress and an amount of jobs that was not sustainable. And so when it all falls apart right here, everybody thinks, well, this is a failing on my part, but it's not really. It really wasn't very sustainable all along. And now your body is like, you're going to have to listen.
Hey, Healthy Buzz community. Have you been curious about using a continuous glucose monitor to unlock powerful insights to your metabolic health? Imagine seeing in real time how your body responds to different meals, different workouts, and also the effects of stress. Now, what if you could experience those benefits without being locked into any type of recurring subscription like some of the other continuous glucose monitor programs out there? With my Blood Sugar Savvy course, you'll get exactly that. You'll receive access to 7 engaging learning modules, 2 continuous glucose monitors to start your wellness journey, plus 4 weekly one-on-one video strategy sessions with me where I'll personally guide you to understanding your CGM data. We'll work together to identify your unique blood sugar patterns and create customized strategies for better energy, mood, and overall well-being. Oh, and by the way, this is especially crucial during your peri and postmenopausal years. Blood Sugar Savvy is about understanding your body on a deeper level, implementing practical strategies, and gaining sustainable knowledge to support your overall health and wellness. Ready to get Blood Sugar Savvy and take control of your metabolic health? Healthy Buzz listeners can save $30 simply by using the code BUZZ at checkout. Your personalized blood sugar journey starts now. This phase is highlighting the weak boundaries that you might have. It's going to also point out what is not sustainable. What are you seeing with women that you work with who are doing things that are not sustainable because they're in this like over functioning phase of which I have to fucking do everything. So what are the things that you're helping women to let go of and no longer keep doing?
One other thing that's in here that a lot of women aren't expecting is a lot of grief. There is a lot of grief for the woman that could do all of that, who could run the marathon and could do those things. And so where do people hide from grief? They hide in overfunctioning and anxiety because it's the devil they know. And it's a lot better than sitting and thinking and kind of working your way through it. I know we all do it. It's a great place to hide. So what I like to do is we're carving out some space so that we can actually tune back into our instincts. It is not the time to listen to the signals from the outside world. And we are so cut off from our own instincts about what is good for us because of how much noise there is and how much pressure there is. Sometimes it's as easy as morning and evening routines. You'd be surprised how much is in there where you're taking care of everybody else. And the conversation around it is like, what are you doing? What does your routine look like? If your routine is, I spend this amount of time doing for others, 10 minutes maybe scrolling or whatever, because that's what I'm doing for myself, and then I'm passing out, well, then there was no bridge between your time at work, at your actual job, and then whatever your job was at home. Like, where was the time for you? And it's asking those questions, like figuring out, what is it that you need to actually feel rested or to go to bed rested? Because frankly, sleep is really difficult during this time. And the less you get of it, the more cortisol wins. That's like one of the most important things. Sometimes I'll find when I'm working with women that they're maybe drinking 1 glass of water a day. And I'm like, well, right now, the signals from your body, if you don't drink that water, are going to look a lot like there's a bear, run. Everything is going to feel like panic in your system, even not drinking water. Something as simple as that. 5 cups of coffee and 1 glass of water is going to cause more anxiety than it used to. That's just a natural fact. Sometimes I'm working with women that are getting injured a lot, and they're a person that was highly athletic and used to be able to perform at a high level. And we have to go through and sort of figure out what are more gentle movements for you. You need to still get the exercise, but this is a stage. Maybe you'll get back to working or performing as high as you were before. But if we can make this part not forever, but a stage that we are talking about, like, how can we just tweak this a little bit? And we're giving ourselves forgiveness for not operating at exactly the level that we were operating at before. That's when you start to see a little bit of breathing room. That's where you start to see a little bit of possibility that things could be different. Because when you're in that high functioning, high anxiety place, it doesn't feel like you can change anything. It doesn't feel like you have ownership to change anything. You must do everything.
Yeah, exactly. Really, I think what I want women to understand from this as well is that as your body is changing, your hormones are changing, your body is also going to look very different and is going to need different things throughout these phases. Your body's different in your 40s than it was in your 20s, and it needs different types of support. And we can't keep trying to go back to doing, I used to be a marathon runner and I can't run that. I'm always getting injured, because we need to shift a little bit. Not saying that you can't ever run, but running might look different than it did before. I think that's a part of the grieving process women have too, is that as their body changes physically, I work with a lot of women who are like struggling with the, like, how do I have acceptance? Because here's the thing, you can want better for your body and accept your body at the same time. And I think that's really important, because you can't hate your way to a better body. Hating on your body so much is not going to make it.
Don't tell marketing that. Right? Don't tell marketing that.
Sure, right? Of course, GLP-1s are in our fucking face all day long right now. And there is a time and place for those. But I feel like it's making these unrealistic expectations for a lot of women out there. And I've worked with a lot of clients who have not had any success using a GLP-1 as well. There's no magic pill or quick fix that is going to give you the long-term results that you're wanting, because it all comes down to these foundations that Holly's talking about here. What's your stress like? Are you watering yourself? Are you giving yourself water and nutrients throughout the day? Are you sleeping? Throwing any type of weight loss magic pill on top of that is not going to make those things better. And that's probably not going to work if you don't have the foundations in place.
Yeah. And it's interesting because as soon as menopause became a buzzword, all of a sudden it became a thing to be monetized, right? And so now there's so much noise out there. And I got to tell you, it's like the same bill of goods with different packaging. Look at this. You can still have it all. You just got to take the right supplements. You just got to take the right skinny drug. Like, you can still have it all. Just get out there and eat all the fiber and do all the things. And I'm like, we are not there. If we are in the thick of it, that is not where we are. And I hate that people will look to social media now and then be like, I'm not having enough fiber, or I'm not lifting enough weights, or I'm not doing this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, anything that creates cortisol in your body right now is not good for you. You'll get there. But I mean, as simple as, obviously we're working with women all the time, right, about nutrition. You have estrogen receptors in your gut. Your stomach and your gut and your digestion is going to change throughout this process. So instead of just, here are the 5 meals that I eat every week, or here are the things that I eat, or here's the stuff that I prepare for this, what do you actually enjoy? I mean, I don't know about everyone, but a lesser known symptom of perimenopause is food apathy, which is, I don't want to eat anything. I don't care to cook anything for anybody ever again. You passed the same store I did. Why didn't you pick it up? Like, that starts to happen. And you have to be able to tune in and think about, like, what are the things when I put them in my body that feel good? Maybe I need some mindful chewing where I just like sit here and actually think about the food that I'm eating rather than eating it at my desk while I'm working, or I just got to get it in. I mean, I was the worst offender of that. I'd be on a meeting eating a spoonful of peanut butter and a cup of coffee, and I'd be like, that's lunch. I can't do that anymore. That is not possible. If I skip a meal, my body will not let me go to bed until I have that meal. Let's say, like, for some reason I was really busy, and right now, because I listen to my body doesn't want to eat lunch until 2. So that's right around when I eat lunch. But if I skipped that for some reason, it never happens anymore because I really actually feel ill if I skip it. Then when I eat dinner at 6, I got to eat another meal at 8. I'll have anxiety. I'll feel dizzy. I cannot skip food. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Last week, I did poor planning with my schedule and I was eating not great. I was grabbing little things like, oh my gosh, I don't have time for lunch. And so what can I quickly eat? Oh, I can eat this beef stick and I can eat this protein bar. Oh, I felt awful and I was not functioning well. And I was just like, how do women do this? I do not feel good at all. My brain is not working right. My mood and my tolerance level for things was very low as well. And I'm like, gosh, it makes such a big difference if we're nourishing our body throughout the day appropriately or if we're eating like a toddler.
It really does. And that's hard because the brain is going to go, I used to be able to do this. We've done this so many times and we've survived it, right? But maybe not so much anymore. I want to invite women to not feel pressure. This is not the time during the transition to put extra pressure on yourself. You're going to get yourself to the place where you're exercising really well again. You're going to get yourself to the place where you feel strong and you feel capable and you've eaten the rainbow for every meal, if that's what you want. But if the inner critic is just telling you you're not doing enough, that's the narrative we need to change. Because this is not the time to do everything. This is the time to literally get ruthlessly honest with yourself about what is your battery look like right now? What is your social battery? What can you give yourself permission not to carry? That in itself is really hard. And community, because this has been such a quiet thing for so long, and women go through it at such different phases. Like, you might have a best friend that you can commiserate with, but you might not. You may have no one. You may feel as though you have no one to talk to about it. And that's really hard. And I also invite women to over communicate with the people that they know, because you feel like a failure. But if you don't say anything out loud, like, here are the things that I'm experiencing right now, then other people in your life have the opportunity to make it about them, where that's not what it is. And so feels like another job to have to communicate with partners and loved ones about where we are and what's going on. But the more you do it and the more energy you have, it's like you have to just start doing it to pay it forward.
Yeah, exactly. So for the woman who is listening right now, and let's say that she's in the middle of perimenopause, in the thick of it, right? Like, she sees menopause is in the very near future.
She's praying it is anyway.
Right. And again, you can have really mixed emotions and feelings about that, because it's like, oh, the grief that you talked about before, because there's a lot of things going on. But for the person who's like in this demolition phase of the remodel, what are some really supportive steps that she can take right now to create a more calmer and more supported transition?
Number one, like I was saying, increase your water intake. Put electrolytes in it. You need more water. Everybody probably knows this, but do not scroll through your phone before you go to bed. Every single time, if you think of it like a guitar, and those are all strings of cortisol, all of that is designed to get your attention. It's not like a social media is like, everything's okay. I mean, that's not how they get your attention. And so the more we scroll, the more that we're looking at the media, the higher our stress rates are going to be. I would choose a time when you are going to get your news, and it should not be first thing in the morning when we are trying to set ourselves up for success with the day, or right before we go to bed, so that we can dream about it or not dream about it all night when we're up. It's really important to set yourself a blackout phase, because that is a boundary. It is a boundary because our phones are designed basically to be addictive. And so I know it's bad for me, but I don't want to stop is exactly what addiction is, right? And so we have to set a boundary there. And that can be more important than anything else, because you can read one thing in the news and just be completely undone right now. I mean, it's not great out there, but you can't solve it all. You can't solve it all. And so reading it and looking at it right before you go to bed, it's going to make your sleep impossible. I also don't think going to bed hungry is a very good idea when you have cortisol spikes. I know that lots of people like to intermittent fast. So whenever that is, but making sure that you've had food, like the last time you had food was not like 3 p.m., that's very helpful. And then just looking at, what does my day look like? Is there room for 10 minutes for me to step outside, for me to go for a walk? Where am I taking space for myself? Because unless you ask that question, you're never going to see if there is any or not, because there's 10 minutes in everybody's day. There's no such thing as not having 10 minutes, but you got to take it. I mean, start small. 1 glass of water, a 20-minute block out on your phone in the morning and at night, and making sure you eat something. Eat lunch. Lots of people don't eat lunch. Eat some lunch, and don't do it at your desk if you can, or in a meeting, if you can. I mean, it's easier said than done. I was in corporate America. You're in meetings all day long. You're eating while you're talking to other people, but you got to take some space for yourself. You cannot allow yourself to come home and work until you go to bed. I know this because I did it. There's no space in there for you. A great bedtime routine is honestly finding time for yourself. Like, as an example, like for me, my kid knows it's going to be time to go to bed when I put on the spa music. The whole house, all the screens go off at 8 p.m. And all of a sudden, the relaxing spa music comes on throughout the house. And like, that's an indicator that we're winding down from here on out. And for the most part, I'm not on my phone. I try not to be on my phone after that time anyway, unless I'm just putting on a meditation for her. When I'm getting into my routine after I put her to bed, I put on all about LED candles in my bathroom. Like, I do my skincare routine by candlelight with spa music on. I'm doing deep breathing. Everybody can come up with their own thing, but anything that like makes it feel less like a chore and more like a ritual will really kind of help you start to wind down. I know that's hard though. So many people go to sleep with the TV on. I'm not saying any of it is easy. That's why I say start small. Maybe it's not 20 minutes. Maybe it's 10 minutes.
Maybe you're picking one thing of which Holly mentioned today, and you're picking that one thing to implement for the rest of the month. And then maybe next month you're adding one thing to it.
Little by little.
I was just having this conversation with my client yesterday because she was feeling a little bit defeated in the progress. She felt like it was going a lot slower. And I was like, hold on. As we talked through the coaching stuff, like she had already made all of these little shifts and changes to things that feel insignificant in the day to day. It might feel insignificant to switch from drinking a soda every day to having a bubbly water every day, or from going on a walk around the block every day versus walking a mile every day, right? It might feel insignificant, but I will tell you, I will promise you that these little things that feel insignificant are having this massive compound effect on your overall health. Think about your body. I always tell my clients this, think of your body as like a bank account, and we're making additions. We're making deposits into your health account every day. And then there will be times that we're making withdrawals. And there's some days that we're making not as many deposits and maybe we're making a few more withdrawals, but we don't ever want to go to zero. But we have that compound interest too of all these little things that feel insignificant are combined having this massive positive impact on your overall health and wellness. So, it's kind of like reframing all of that. Oh my God, I need to do everything. No, pick one thing, start there, please. Because if you try to do everything after about, we'll say 4 days, you're gonna be like, I can't do this. This is not sustainable because it's not your routine yet. So pick one thing, make it a routine, make it your ritual, and then we add in another.
That's the thing with coaching as well. I think it's very difficult to make change without a goal. Having set a goal so that you have something that you can mark it against, right? I mean, it's easy to go, I'm going to do all these things. And then when you don't do them, to beat yourself up about it and then be like, I'm going to try again tomorrow. If you have a goal written down somewhere that you're like, no, but this is what I'm working towards, then you can celebrate those little wins. You can say, no, these are things that are getting me towards where I need to go. And I think forgiveness during this phase is the hardest thing for us to give to ourselves, but so important. You're going to drink wine. You're going to scroll social media. You're going to not exercise. Like, you're going to not feel great, but then be like, you know what? My body needed rest today, or maybe I needed a break. And because we don't just do it and it all comes back again, it is like deposits in the bank. You have to think about it like paying it forward. Like, if I start to feel really bad or I haven't eaten well for a couple of days, I'm just like, well, just get back on track. And eventually you're going to feel a little bit better again. Or, for me, like, I have to go swim. That 40 minutes of just like that kind of breathing is the thing that relaxes me. But maybe my week got busy and I didn't get swimming, and I only walked or I only did this. And I'm like, just go again. Those things are always there for you. And not beating yourself up about not doing them all the time is really important. Forgiveness, rest, and just tuning into your intuition. Like, it's okay to listen to yourself.
Absolutely. I love this. So, Holly, you mentioned coaching. And so I know that you offer coaching for women who are going through peri and post-menopause. And you do offer a free introductory consultation so that they can learn more about what your coaching looks like. Tell our listeners a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So, just even the basics, right? If I have a call with somebody, I want to hear where they are and what's going on with them. And then I'm going to explain some of those basic things that they probably don't know are going on. We might talk about different support. I have a list of hormone literate doctors. It's a living list. I'm always compiling with different doctors that people find have actually done some research on hormones, because they have to have taken it upon themselves to do so, since it wasn't done in medical school. And then we're just going to talk about whether or not it might be a good fit for them. I do a 7-week remodel, which is incremental, where we're basically shining a light on all of the areas of your life. And we're trying to figure out what are the shifts that we can make? What are the changes that we can make, so that we're saying goodbye to one version of ourselves and we're really ready to meet that new version of ourselves. But that's not right for everybody. Some people just need a little bit of help. And so I also do a 3-week, just get out of survival mode. Let's get you to a place where you literally don't feel like the house is on fire. And then you feel capable enough to take that information and go forward with it. So it's different for every person what they might need. But honestly, I just love having that introductory call, whether or not they work with me or not, because I just don't want women to feel alone. And I want the opportunity to let them know that what they're going through is completely natural. And our bodies were built millions of years ago. And the ecosystem we now live in doesn't really match up with it. Frankly, by 50, we're pretty much peace out back in the whatever ages. So there's a lot that's incongruent now, and things that don't match up. And you have to give yourself some forgiveness for that, because Calgon's not coming to take any of us away.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's now singing that commercial.
Only the people that grew up with it. I think the millennials are really positioned well. The information is coming out so they can actually find it. Doctors won't tell them they just need to reduce their stress. They will actually be like, yeah, it's probably perimenopause. And potentially, hopefully we're going to get to a point where a woman turns 35 and she's at her annual exam and the doctor says, here's the things that are coming that you should be looking out for, so that you don't spend years feeling like a failure before you actually realize that it was out of your control. The hormones are out of your control to a certain extent, unless you're going to use replacement therapy. But what's not out of your control is making sure that you have good boundaries in place and that people aren't taking advantage of the fact that you're willing to do everything. Say no to some stuff, even if you want to do it, I guess, just to practice.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Well, Holly, this was a really great conversation. We will put ways to contact for our listeners to connect with you in the show notes, so you guys can go schedule that free introductory call with Holly so you can learn more about how to support your body through peri and postmenopause. And how can people find you? Where can they connect with you?
Oh, I am a Better Pause pretty much everywhere. I will say my website's at betterpause.com. I never get on X or TikTok, so you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. It's just a Better Pause. My email is just holly@abetterpause.com.
Okay, amazing. We'll put all that in the show notes for everybody, but thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Healthy Buzz. I hope this conversation has left you feeling seen, supported, and ready to take the next step in your health journey. Love what you heard? Make sure you subscribe to Healthy Buzz so you never miss an honest conversation. And if you found this valuable, please take a moment to leave a review. I truly appreciate it. For exclusive weekly tips and holistic strategies, be sure to subscribe to my weekly newsletter. The link is in the show notes. Remember, this isn't just nutrition, it's permission to trust your body. I'll catch you on the next episode of Healthy Buzz.